This episode is dedicated in memory of Dick Miller.
Hey, fellow horror fans. This is Troy Escamilla, the director of Party Night and Mrs. Claus, and you are listening to Anthony T's Horror Show. Enjoy.
Welcome to episode 13 of Anthony T's Horror Show. This is a very packed show, as I originally had a format for this episode, but there's been a lot of news in the last 2 weeks that really changed the format of this episode. In this episode, I will be going into the whole Amazon independent film controversy, as I have thoughts on it which I will share with you, because this is something that really needs to be talked about, as I really don't want to talk about it, but really feel the need that this has to be brought up on this episode. Then I will give you my thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan's latest film Glass. Then I will have an interview with actress Jordan Phillips as we talk about her latest film, Close Calls, which is available on VOD from Terror Films, and the film will be hitting Blu-ray from Scream Team releasing later this month. Plus, I will talk about the passing of legendary character actor Dick Miller, as I have some thoughts in some of my favorite roles of his that I would like to share, because he was that character actor you knew every time he appeared on screen, and he's appeared in some cult classics and some big screen roles. I'll talk about him and his career, and after that I'll give you my film recommendation for this episode. But first, the news. According to Variety, Matt Smith is in talks to join Jared Leto in the upcoming Morbius film, which is based on the character that first appeared in the Amazing Spider-Man comic series. Now, this looks like to be a good film. I'm interested to see how this is done, considering that Venom was a surprising good film, considering all the negativity around it. My guess is it'll probably be PG-13, obviously, since Sony doesn't really want to do R-rated films that exist in the Spider-Man universe. But Morbius is a film that looks interesting and can't wait to check out. Filming hasn't started yet, with no release date. The CW recently ordered a pilot for the upcoming Lost Boys TV series. The TV series is based on the 1987 horror comedy that starred Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. My thoughts on it is, please just leave it alone. This is not a good idea. Do not try to do this. I know you guys have had success with shows like Riverdale, but we really don't need the Lost Boys to be remade in any form, and I really don't think a TV series would work, but we're at least getting a pilot, so it's not 100% that it'll be picked up for the network, but I really don't want to see a Lost Boys TV series, as I think it's not going to work. Plus, it's been, 30 years since the original film? So, leave it alone. There's no need for it. Troma Entertainment recently released the first trailer for their upcoming film, Shakespeare's Shitstorm. The trailer can be found on dreadcentral.com. My thoughts on it? I'm interested in this film. This does look like Lloyd Kaufman going back to films like Poltergeist and terra firma. So this is something to keep an eye out for, as he's planning yet another theatrical rollout of the film, which should take place sometime this year. No details yet. Stay tuned. And that's it for the news. Now, I was originally going to use this commentary piece to talk about Women in Horror Month, but I really cannot do that right now because of the whole stupid Amazon controversy in which they are purging independent films from their streaming service. You'll hear that commentary right now. Warning: the following commentary doesn't represent the views of Dark Discussions or the Dark Discussions Network. In other words, there are my views only. Between episodes, a major news story broke. It had to deal with Amazon pretty much purging films from its Amazon Prime and Amazon streaming service. This led to me to share a couple of posts from indie filmmakers that had their films ripped off of Amazon Prime, because what Amazon Prime is doing is borderline censorship, because personally, films deserve to have a right to be placed on the marketplace. It's not like they're just ripping it off of their Prime service. They're completely taking these films off of Amazon.com. This really gets me very angry, as people should have the right to choose whatever films they want to see, whether it's a big studio film or a small indie film. At least have it available for the consumer so they can make the choice. I hate when companies like this want to choose the films that you can buy, because personally, I want to have the right to see whatever film I want to see. Whether it's an indie horror film, or an Italian horror film, or a comedy, or a documentary. I like to have all types of films available at my disposal to choose which films I want to see. What Amazon is doing is they're telling you this is the films that you can see. You can't see these films because, they're not good in quality, or, has objectionable content in which they feel it's wrong to put on their service. I want to have that choice. I don't like companies telling me what they want me to see. Every film should have a right to be on the marketplace. It is ridiculous when these big companies like Amazon are just telling you can't see these films because, it has too much nudity, or, this film isn't lit right, or, this looks like a backyard movie. I want to have that choice to watch that film. I may not want to watch that film, but I still want the choice. I'm going to share you right now a letter that some indie filmmakers are getting in their mailboxes because of what Amazon is doing to independent films. This is off a post from Harike Kudo, which I also shared on Auntie T's Horror Show Facebook page, but I'm going to read this letter because this is ridiculous, and I'll tell you why after. The letter starts with, "Hello. Thank you for contacting Prime Video Direct. I understand that you would like to know why your titles were removed from Amazon. We are always listening to customer feedback and iterating on their behalf. During a quality assurance review, we found that your titles contain content that does not meet our customer content quality expectations. As a result, all offers for your titles have been removed and may not be available as included with Prime or to buy/rent on Amazon. Unfortunately, this decision may not be appealed. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. My thoughts on this letter: fuck you, Amazon. Why do you not give the filmmaker the right to appeal? This is ridiculous. This is kind of stupid. How are you being fair? This is not being fair. You're just ripping films out with no reason just so you can cater to the major studios. Lloyd Kaufman was right in the fact that the major studios are trying to drown out these independents, because this is definitely a prime example of this. How can you not give the filmmaker a right to at least appeal to this? This is just another example of a big company that is trying to get rid of all these independent films so they can make the major studios happy. I am a person that wants variety. I don't want the same old studio crap all the time. These independent films bring a unique and different perspective to the viewer. And it is ridiculous that Amazon is trying to censor independent filmmakers. And it's sad, because there's virtually nothing you can do about it. You could always not shop at Amazon, but Amazon is not going to care, because you probably just get a few thousand when they got probably millions of orders every day. So they're not going to be affected by this if a couple thousand people decide to not want to shop there because of this. This is fucking ridiculous and sad. You know what? Instead of spending your money at Amazon.com for these independent films, why don't you go to Henflix.com to support Henrique Kudo and his films? Go to ScreamTeamReleasing.com to support their releases. Go to Epic-Pictures to support the Dread Central Presents releases. Go to ConceptMediaLLC.com to support Concept Media's releases. Support these films through these independent film production websites, as all the money will go to their pockets and not to these greedy corporations like Amazon. Also, go support independent film retailers like DiabolicDVD.com and GrindhouseVideo.com. Don't spend your money for independent films on Amazon.com. If they're going to just treat independent films like crap, go to the studios directly, or go to Diabolic DVD or Grindhouse Video to pick up these independent films and support these independent retailers and studios. Now, I had a little debate to see if I really wanted to review the film that I'm about ready to review, Glass, because Glass is kind of not a horror film, because it seems to be more of a superhero type thriller. But M. Night Shyamalan's last film, Split, was more of a horror film, and it features characters from that film in Glass. So I decided to review it here anyway, since it's a big movie, plus the fact that it has kind of horror elements in the beginning of the film. When I first heard about Glass, I was actually kind of interested in this film. Not because of M. Night Shyamalan's last film, Split, but a film that he did 19 years ago called Unbreakable, which starred Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. I liked that film because it was kind of a different type of superhero film, as it had more of a grounded feel to it. So when I heard that he was finishing this trilogy, I was interested in seeing this film. He did not need the horror elements of Split to sell me on this film, so I really wanted to check it out, for better or worse, because we all know M. Night Shyamalan films. His films can go off the rails. His films can be really boring. But I have to really say, I really enjoyed Glass a lot. One of the main reasons why I enjoyed Glass a lot was the way that M. Night Shyamalan does a very good job in integrating these three characters into this film. I like how you make sure that each of the characters stand out very well, because it made me really interested in wanting to go back and see Split, because I've never seen Split. But back to the thoughts on Glass. I thought M. Night Shyamalan's screenplay here was good. He does a very good job making the scenes and interactions between the characters interesting. He also does a good job with the way he handles the action in the film, especially towards the end of the film. What made it entertaining, with the way that he handles some of the dialogue that's accustomed to M. Night Shyamalan films. He also does a great job with the way he directs the film. I like how the film is grounded and not over the top. I like how he makes sure that it's about the characters, not some stupid effects or any outrageous scenes that will shock you. It was enough to really keep my interest in the film. He also gets very good performances from Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy, and Sarah Paulson. He also does a great job with the way he handles the twists. Because when you watch an M. Night Shyamalan film, there's always a twist or two that will make you either say, what the fuck, or are you really kidding me? I sat there for 2 hours kind of look. But this film had more of the WTF factor, which really, I think, made this film work for me, in my opinion. I would definitely check this film out. I would also definitely recommend you seek Unbreakable and Split, because I'm going to go back and watch Split when I have some free time, because I kind of really like James McAvoy in this film, as he really does a great job portraying his character. For a star recommendation, I would give this film 4 stars. I recommend you check it out in theaters and really appreciate what M. Night Shyamalan did with $20 million of his own money and putting it into this film, instead of just having some Hollywood executives ruin whatever vision he had for this. Because I always like films that take risk. This film is one of those films that takes risks, and it does pay off. Glass is currently in theaters nationwide. Have a podcast that you want to promote? Well, if you're interested in swapping commercials, you can promote your show here on Anthony T's Horror Show, and in return I will promote your commercial on my show as well. For more information, contact me at anthonytshorrorshow@gmail.com.
Hey guys, this is Steve and Christina. I'm the founder, owner, creator, and host of Super Retro Throwback Reviews. Are you looking for the best movie reviews, music reviews, video game reviews, and Comic-Con coverage all around? Well then look no further. Definitely check out Super Retro Throwback Reviews on YouTube and our new audio podcast, the new and improved Super Retro Throwback Reviews audio files version 2.0 on the following media distributors: Podbean, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.
Pass is over, John. Time for something new and improved.
Welcome back to Anthony T's Horror Show. I'm here with an actress who's been in films such as Amazon Hotbox in 1031. Her latest film, Close Calls, is currently out on VOD via Terror Films and will be hitting Blu-ray this month courtesy of Scream Team Releasing. I'm here with actress Jordan Phillips. How are you doing today?
Hey, how are you?
Good. You?
I'm good. Just enjoying the weekend before getting back to work.
Now, what made you get into acting?
I have been doing acting since I was about 14. I started in musical theater. And somehow it just kind of evolved. I was doing more and more shows. I was really involved in college and working in professional theaters. And then my sophomore year of college, I started doing short films and commercials locally. And that was the year I actually auditioned for Close Calls. And I was super thrilled, to get such a big role without having very much film experience, but luckily I was ready to take on the challenge of that.
Now, I know you have a lot of horror films on your filmography. Are you a fan of the genre?
Yes, I have always liked horror films. I started watching them a lot with my dad when I was about 10 or 11. I just like scary movies. I always liked them.
Now, you're starting a new film, Close Calls, which is recently released from Terror Films and will be hitting Blu-ray later this month from Scream Team Releasing. Tell me about the film and the character that you're playing in the film.
My character was Morgan McKenzie. She is the typical rich, spoiled girl. She's kind of bratty, but she does have a heart. I feel like she really relies on her wit to get her through the situations that she's placed in. She makes some bad decisions. She's a 17-year-old girl, but, it's an interesting ride, for sure.
What was the auditioning process like for Close Calls?
For Close Calls, it was a private audition. I had spoken to an assistant of the director for a little while, and they wanted to see me in person to read the script, which was really different because as I got more into films later, I noticed that a lot of people use video auditions, but in theater, it's in-person auditions. So it was nice that a film had an in-person audition. I really liked that. So I went into the audition with the script. I hadn't seen the script before, and it was basically like a cold read. The director, Richard Stringham, was reading the other characters. We did 3 scenes, I think. It was a pretty quick process. I thought I did all right, and they were really friendly, and I had a good time auditioning for them.
Now, you mentioned the auditioning process. Can you explain what the difference between actually auditioning in front of casting directors and doing video auditions?
Yeah, for me, I really like to feel the room, and I like to make an actual connection with somebody. When you're doing video auditions, which is super, super common in the film industry, you're usually either by yourself or you'll have a reader, which is usually somebody like a friend or something, reading the script with you. And you don't really get any feedback. You're in your own house on like a backdrop recording it yourself. So it's kind of impersonal. I understand it's very convenient, which is why a lot of films use that process. But when you do face-to-face auditions, I feel like you can really get a feel for more of what the director wants for the character. For me personally, it just puts me in a better space to work, especially if it's going to be a cold read, which is where you read from the script that you've never seen before. I prefer face-to-face auditions, definitely.
Now, this film has a surreal tone that is different from other stalker films like Halloween or When a Stranger Calls, as this film has a Lucille Fulci feel to it. What were your initial thoughts when you read the script for the film?
Well, I had to read it twice, definitely, because it is so trippy, and there are things in it, that they just take you off guard. And initially, when I read it, I really liked it. I thought it was very out there. I saw it as kind of a challenge. I didn't get to read the full script until I had actually been offered the role. So I got my copy of the script, read it, talked it over with the director, and he let me ask him questions and things, about his writing process, which was interesting, and I'm really glad I got to do that before I decided to do this film.
What drew you to the character to the point that you wanted to play the character?
I was 19 when I did this film, and I'm 22 now. So I was still kind of leaving that rebellious teenager phase. I just felt like she resonated with me a lot. I saw, that she wasn't helpless. She was smart. She was a fighter. And I really admired that in her, and I felt like I could bring a lot of myself into her character.
Now, what was shooting the film like in terms of how long each day was and the total shoot of the film?
Oh, wow, yeah. So, originally, this was supposed to be a 30-day shoot, which is pretty standard for films. 30-day shoot, 2 days off a week, about 12 to 16-hour days, which is pretty standard. This shoot went from the end of June to the end of September. So that's quite a long time. Sometimes we would have days where I would come in early afternoon around 3 o'clock, get into makeup, and I wouldn't leave until the sun was up the next morning. Because the film occurs all in one night. So when the sun came up, that's when we knew we had to stop because of lighting issues for the most part. So it was definitely a long and tedious process. We lost locations, so we ended up having to rebuild sets in an airplane hangar, which did put some delays on shooting, but we got through it. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that it turned out the way it did.
How did you approach the role in terms of you wanted the character to be like on screen?
For me, I knew it was going to be really easy for people to just think of Morgan as kind of a, bratty, rich bimbo. Didn't have much of a brain. Didn't really know what she was getting herself into, and there are elements of that. But I didn't want people to think of her as like a bad girl. I wanted them to see that she was just, in a bad circumstance. She has a weird family life. I wanted people to be able to recognize that, she was smart. She has a heart. She's a fighter.
The film is directed by Rich Dringham. What was he like to work with?
Richard's a funny guy. He's out there for sure. He told me that he wrote this movie I think on an acid trip. So he's out there for sure. He knows a lot about indie films. He's a collector for sure. He loves the genre. He knows what he's talking about. He knows the history. So that's good. It was his first.
Yeah, it kind of.
Go ahead.
After you.
This was actually his first time directing. He has written a lot of scripts, but this was the first one that he decided to actually make into a film. So that was interesting as well, because especially when we first started out, he was just so excited to be there and being able to do what he wanted, which was nice.
Yeah, that's why I could kind of see the Italian horror influence in some of the scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Especially with your character and the grandmother.
Yes.
Because that felt like something that came out of an Italian horror film.
Yes, it definitely did, and I've heard that a lot. He's a big fan of that genre, definitely.
One of the things I liked about your performance was the way that you interacted with your cast members, including Greg Fallon, Carmen Peterson, and Christoph Waltermeyer. Did you have any time to rehearse before filming this film?
Greg and I did rehearse about a week before his scenes were shot. We rehearsed a lot together. With other characters, I mean, we did a table read, and that was about it, which is pretty standard. We would rehearse a little bit before we would actually start shooting, but for the most part, we kind of just went with it for the day, went with what we were shooting for the day, you know. And especially because we were shooting for so long, we had that chemistry going. We knew what our characters were doing. You know, it was easy to make a connection and to connect with the characters just because of how much time we spent together.
Now, what was the atmosphere like on set, given the film's surreal tone?
Well, it really depended on the day. You know, with indie film, things go wrong all the time. You know, there was, at the beginning of the film, we were fighting off losing our location, so that would get in the way. We would, when we got to the airplane hangar, you know, it was hot, there was no air conditioning, we're shooting in Arkansas, so humid and disgusting and, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, sometimes people's tempers would get the best of them, sometimes conflicts were apparent on set that day. But for the most part, everybody was professional, and at the end of the day, we all knew we wanted to be there, so we tried to make it as smooth as possible.
Now, the film has an intense third act, which I won't spoil here. But what was it like filming those action sequences?
I love it, honestly. I love action. I love doing stunts. I did all the stunts in the movie myself. They are really intense, but for me, that really, really puts me in the headspace of the character. It's just a lot of fun for me. I really like it.
What was the most challenging scene that you filmed?
Oh, the most challenging scene. There's a lot. I think probably without giving anything away, either the very, very last scene or one of the intense action scenes I had with Greg Fallon, who plays Barry, towards the end that we were just discussing. Those could be really challenging. And our director, Richard, is kind of a perfectionist, so we would have to do multiple takes of the action, and that would get really rough at times.
Now, how long would it take to film one of those action scenes, since Richard was more of a perfectionist?
Oh gosh, that would be a day. when we would just do that one scene. So anywhere from 12 to 16 hours. Those were the days that I would come in early for makeup, and by the time I left, the sun was out and it was all bright outside. They took a long time.
Now, what was your favorite scene in the film?
My favorite scene in the film was probably the outdoor scene with the pool. I love those scenes. I like the conflict that my character is having with her little boyfriend. I think that it kind of humanizes Morgan and makes her, you kind of remember, oh yeah, she's just a teenage girl in that part. I like that scene a lot.
Now, have you seen the final cut of the film? And what are your thoughts on it?
I have seen the final cut. For me, I feel like, honestly, watching it, it feels like it's not even me in the film. I don't really like to watch myself, which is probably not good. But, it's a trip. It's a trip for sure. And the people who like these kinds of films, I feel like they're really going to love it. It's not for everyone, and I understand that. But I really feel like people who appreciate the genre, who kind of like throwback films, I think they're really going to like it.
Now, a lot of people might not know Close Calls was filmed back in 2016.
Yeah.
And it pretty much went through the festival route. During that period, you appeared in a couple well-known indie horror films, including the horror anthology 1031 with Rocky Gray's story, Amazon Hotbox, James Brickett's latest film. Did Close Calls have anything to do with landing either of those roles, given that Rocky Gray composed the film score for Close Calls, and Richard Stringham's ties to Brian Williamson, the producer?
I think that with Rocky's film, he started 1031. He started pre-production right as we were wrapping up Close Calls. And I was actually in the process of moving to Atlanta. I was leaving Arkansas, and Rocky wanted me to be in his film, he filmed it in Arkansas as well, his portion. And he wanted me to do a project with him before I left. So I feel like that probably had something to do with Close Calls. And I believe Close Calls also kind of just led me to Amazon Hotbox, because right a little while after I wrapped those movies, I came to Atlanta, got in contact with Brian and James, who directed Amazon Hotbox, and I think it just kind of made them aware that I was acting, that I was around, and liked the horror genre, liked these type of films. So I think it was a good way to get in contact with other directors, definitely.
Now you're in Rocky Gray's segment, The Sam High Slaughter, which also co-stars Greg Felton. Tell me about the segment and character in that film.
For that segment, Rocky really just wanted classic, teenagers on Halloween. I really liked that a lot. I got to wear a little Red Riding Hood costume, which was nice. And Greg Fallon, it was nice to see him again as well. I liked that he just wanted kind of a creepy little slasher, classic horror segment.
Now, what was it like working with Rocky Gray, given that he was in the band Evanescence before he came into filmmaking and film composing?
He's a really nice guy. You can tell that he loves what he does. He definitely has a passion for the genre as well. And he's super talented when it comes to music. So it was nice to be able to work with him.
Now, what was the shoot like for that film? Especially with the creepy dream sequence and the potty scene.
Are you the Sandheim slasher or Close Calls?
Semi slasher.
Slasher. That was fine. You know, it was fun. It was a lot easier process than Close Calls. It was a lot less heavy stuff. It was more relaxed time, definitely.
Now, finally, what are some of your upcoming films that are either slated for release or production?
I am currently in pre-production for the sequel to Bojangles. That is going to be filming this summer, I believe. So just getting started with the pre-production. Other than that, that's about all I have going on film-wise. I've done a lot of commercial and print modeling lately. So that's been good as well. I'm just happy that, Close Calls is finally coming out and people will be able to see it. And I'm excited for new projects coming up as well.
Now, finally, where can they find you on social media?
Social media, my Instagram is Jordana_96. And I have a Facebook page, Jordan Phillips. It's just a regular fan page. You can give me a like and shoot me a message on that as well.
I want to thank you, Jordana, for coming on to the show. Have a good day and good luck with your release, Close Calls, which is available on VOD right now and will be hitting Blu-ray later this month from Scream Team Releasing.
Thank you so much.
Have a
Thank
good day.
you too.
Besides Anthony T's Horror Show, you can also listen to these other fine podcasts on the Doc Discussions Network. Doc Discussions, hosted by Philip Perrone and Michael Darwin. You Know Nothing, Jon Snow, a Game of Thrones podcast. Bullets, Brothels, and Bots, a Westworld podcast. Halloween Boutique, Psychotronic Reviews. And Searching for American Gods. You can find Doc Discussions on the web at www.docdiscussions.com. And Doc Discussions is also available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify. Welcome back. I want to thank Jordan Phillips for joining me this episode. Definitely check out her new film, Close Calls, which is available on various VOD platforms from Terror Films. The film will also be on Blu-ray later this month, courtesy of Scream Team Releasing. You can visit Scream Team Releasing's official site at www.screamteamreleasing.com. Recently, we got some sad news that came out of Hollywood as veteran character actor Dick Miller passed away. He was a character actor who was in many film and television shows, as he had 182 credits according to his IMDb page. He is most known for two characters. First, the character Walter Paisley, as he played the character 5 times in his career. The character first appeared in Roger Corman's A Bucket of Blood. He would also play different characters using that same name. It started off in another Roger Corman production called Hollywood Boulevard, which was co-directed by Joe Dante. Dante would also use the name Walter Paisley for a character in his film The Howling, in which he's an owner of an occult bookshop. The character would appear again, this time as an owner of a diner in Twilight Zone the movie. Then there's a janitor named Walter Paisley in Jim Wynorski's Chopping Mall, and in a TV movie called Shake, Rattle, and Rock, in which it's referred to as Officer Paisley. He would also play another character called Officer Paisley in the 1986 film Night of the Creeps. So, Paisley has been pretty much a part of Dick Miller throughout his career, but he's mostly known for us horror fans and for fans in general as Murray Futterman in both Gremlins and Gremlins 2. He's also appeared in other sci-fi horror films such as The Terminator, Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, and the original Piranha. If I have to say what are my favorite Dick Miller roles, one of them would be definitely Murray Futterman in Gremlins and Gremlins 2. I really think that character really stood out more than most of the characters in the film, because Dick Miller played the character very well. Plus, it comes off as very likable, which is always a plus. Another role of his I liked was in Chopping Mall, where he had a brief appearance in the film, but definitely one of the best scenes in that film, in which his character meets an untimely demise by one of the robots. It was really a very good scene, probably also my favorite scene in that film as well. And also in Piranha as resort owner Buck Gardner. That was a really good role that he was in, which I enjoyed a lot. His last film, which is currently completed but not released, is Hanukkah, and that's a film that will probably get released eventually, because I believe that film right now is currently completed and has a cast that includes Charles Fleischer, Sid Haig, Caroline Williams, PJ Soles, and Sadie's Katz. So there's a very good chance you will get to see Dick Miller's last film released eventually. I believe it might be going through the film festival circuit first, but keep an eye out for that, as was his last role, sadly. He's definitely a talent that's going to be missed, as he passed away at the age of 90. I want to offer my condolences to friends and family of Dick Miller. He's definitely a talent that will be missed. Want to find out the latest guest announcements and news regarding Anthony T's Horror Show? You can follow Anthony T's Horror Show on these social media platforms. Facebook at www.facebook.com/Anthony T's Horror Show. On Twitter at www.twitter.com/Anthony T's Horror, and Instagram at www.instagram.com/Anthony T's Horror Show. For my film recommendations this month, I'll be also continuing the women in horror theme by recommending films from women directors. In this film recommendation, I'm recommending the short film The Stylist, directed by Jill Gavazian. This film is an interesting character study and psychological horror film. Does a great job in focusing on the main character of the film, but Gavazian's direction was very good here. She does a very good job making sure that this film moves at a very good pace, whether it's the way she directs her cast to making sure that some of the scenes had that frightening emotional feel to it. It really made this short film a very interesting film. She also does a very good job making sure she gets a very good lead performance in her short film from Najara Townsend, as the main character in the film really came off as a very disturbing character, which made the film a very interesting one to watch. It's definitely a short film you should definitely check out. You can find the film on Vimeo on demand by just typing the stylist in the search box, or you can go to 6tapes.com. That is spelled with SIXX tape.com to pick up the Blu-ray of the film, as it also has another very good film from Jill Gavagian called Call Girl, which stars Lawrence Harvey from The Human Centipede 2 and Tristan Risk from American Mary and Amazon Hotbox. You can pick that Blu-ray up at 6tape.bigcartel.com. And also don't forget to check out her latest film, 42 Count, which is on the film festival circuit. It's another short film that's been getting some buzz. So if you see that film on the festival circuit, definitely check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but it's something that I'm looking forward to catching once it's available through some means of VOD. But still, definitely support films like this on the film festival circuit, as this is how some of these indie films first start out, as films on the film festival circuit. Then they get distribution. But for short films, this is usually, it's either the film festival circuit and VOD, and that's it. But definitely support her work, as she's a very talented director. Now, recently I rebranded my YouTube channel. It was originally called Anthony T's Horror Chamber. I rebranded it to the show to reflect more on the show and have more content on it. You'll see some more video content in the future. I'm working on the final touches of another edition of Anthony T's Horror Collection, which was formerly known as the Horror Chambers DVD and Blu-ray Collection. I'm going to add more stuff besides DVDs to it, so be on the lookout for that. Later this month, I'll have my first episode of Viva La Trauma, in which I'll review a trauma film. Whether it's good or bad, you'll get that on the channel. You also get Anthony T's Horror Reviews still on the channel, in which I review films. And you also will get some other stuff, which I'm currently thinking of right now. Well, this will wrap up another edition of Anthony T's Horror Show. Thank you for listening. Have a good day and support indie horror.